In the final part of the lesson, we'll explore responsible borrowing and repayment options. As we discussed in the last video, student loan debt is a significant national issue, with more than $1.56 trillion total owed as of 2019. But it's a significant issue for individuals as well. The average student loan debt for 2017 graduates was nearly $29,000. And as of 2019, 11.5% of all student loans are in serious delinquency or default. With an average monthly loan payment of $393 per borrower, educational debt can be crippling if it's not managed properly. Whether you're taking or paying loans now, or think you may need to in the future to finance your education, it's critical that you understand how to borrow and repay those loans responsibly to minimize the impact of the debt on your overall financial health and well-being. When you think about your educational funding, it's important to consider how much, if any of it, should be secured via loans. While other funding sources may have their own requirements, such as maintaining a minimum GPA for a scholarship, only the loans will have to be repaid. So you have to be an informed consumer when determining how much you should borrow and what you will likely be able to comfortably repay. The first guideline is to borrow as little as possible. One rule of thumb is that your total debt at graduation should be no more than 1 year of your annual starting salary. This means you need to consider your field of study, employment prospects, and likely salary range for that first career position you'll obtain once you graduate. Ideally, though, you'll be able to fund your education with even less debt. Your goal should be to pay off your debt in 10 years or less, which will help you to ensure that your financial options remain as open as possible and that you won't have to delay other major life decisions, including things like buying a home or starting a family, because you're weighed down by debt. Lower your costs whenever you can. As you know from the last video, college isn't just tuition and fees. There are other costs to consider, including books and supplies, room and board, and transportation. Some financial aid packages will suggest you take out loans to cover those costs as well, but being mindful of minimizing your loans also means being mindful of spending less where possible. Knowing what those costs are is helpful, and every school that participates in federal financial aid programs is required to offer a net price calculator on its website. So if you're still considering which school to attend, start at collegecost.ed.gov and find the net price calculators for the schools you're interested in to compare the true costs. Then determine where you can reasonably save. Does it make sense to take some classes at a community college, either for the first year or two or during summers and breaks? As long as the courses will transfer to your planned degree program, this can add up to some significant savings. Can you live at home rather than on campus? If you commute, can you schedule your classes to only be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for example, meaning you don't need to visit campus 5 days a week and can have a more flexible work or study schedule? Small decisions can add up to a big savings over 4 or more years of college. Maximize your other funding sources too. Get a part-time job if you can do so. But if you're able to take more classes and not work, that may help you save money in the long run, especially if you attend a college that doesn't charge any additional fees for credits once you reach full-time status within a semester. Continue to search for grants and scholarships each semester or year. You may qualify for something in your junior year that you didn't qualify for or that didn't even exist in your freshman year. And if you're pursuing a degree while you're already working, your employer may offer tuition support or reimbursement. Finally, factor your financial needs into your graduation goal. You probably want to graduate as soon as possible, and that makes sense so you can start earning a higher salary in your new career. But you need to weigh your current and future financial situations into the equation. You might take summer classes to finish your degree sooner, but that may mean you can't work in the summer and need to take out more loans. There's no right answer here, but considering every option is important. Be a responsible borrower. First of all, keep track of how much you're borrowing. Think about how the amount of your loans will affect your future finances and what you can comfortably afford to repay. Your student loan payments should be only a small percentage of that salary after you graduate, so it's important that you don't borrow any more than you need to for your school expenses. If you receive a refund, manage it responsibly. Determine whether you truly need that refund and will use it for school expenses, or if you could go ahead and repay part of the loan immediately, reducing the debt you'll have at graduation. Research starting salaries in your field. Ask your school for starting salaries of recent graduates in your major to get an idea of how much you're likely to earn. You can also use the U.S. Department of Labor's Occupational Outlook Handbook or their career search tool to further research salaries and careers in your field. Understand the terms of your loan and keep copies of your documentation. When you sign a promissory note taking out a loan, you are agreeing to repay the loan according to the terms of the note, and that applies even if you don't actually finish your degree, can't get a job after you graduate, or weren't happy with the education you received. Make payments on time. You're required to make your payments on time even if you don't receive a bill, a repayment notice, or a reminder. You have to pay the full amount required by the plan, as partial payments do not fulfill your obligation for a timely payment. And finally, stay in contact with your loan servicers. Notify them when you graduate, withdraw from school, drop below half-time status, transfer, or even change your name, address, or social security number. You also should contact your servicer if you're having any trouble making your loan payments. Having a solid plan for repayment involves several factors. First and foremost, you need to know when repayment begins on your loans. It's important to remember that most loans are only in deferment while you maintain status as at least a half-time student. If your final semester you only have one course left, you may be below half-time status, and that could start the clock on your repayment. Private loans may have a requirement that repayment begin immediately after you take out the loan, rather than after you graduate. Consider loan consolidation. If you take out several loans over your college journey, you may find it hard to manage the multiple payments. You can explore options to consolidate the loans so that you have a single loan servicer, a single payment, and one interest rate for all of your college debt. While this doesn't reduce your loan balance, it can make it much easier to budget and manage. Explore repayment programs. Some federal loans offer income-driven repayment, or IDR, which can make it easier to pay back your loans if your debt is high relative to your income. And you can apply for IDR through the Federal Student Aid website. There is no fee to apply, but you must be current on all of your loans and not in delinquency or default. And if you work in certain jobs, you may be able to have a portion of your federal student loans forgiven if you meet certain conditions. Public service loan forgiveness may be available for those who work in government or nonprofit service. If you return to school, you may have the option to defer your existing loans while you complete a new degree. If you're paying loans for undergrad, but you return to complete a master's degree, it might make sense to defer your bachelor's degree loan payments while you're in school. But remember, even though you aren't required to make payments when your deferment is approved, your interest is still accumulating. So if you are able to continue making at least the interest payments, it will help you pay down the debt faster. Finally, there are options if you're struggling financially. You know that part of responsible borrowing is staying in contact with your loan servicers. If you're having trouble paying your loan, don't just ignore it. Contact the servicer and see what options are available. If it's a short-term situation, you may qualify for forbearance, in which your payments are suspended for a while. Or you may qualify to lower your payment using an income-driven repayment plan, a consolidation, or some other tools designed to support your needs. But your servicer can't help you explore options if they don't know what's going on. Student loans can be a great option for paying for your education, and they might help you reach goals that would otherwise be unattainable. but using them responsibly as part of your overall funding strategy is critical. Do your best to ensure that you graduate with manageable debt and a solid repayment plan. College costs are high, but the cost of defaulting on a student loan may be even higher. Delinquency or default on a student loan will impact your credit, making it hard for you to get other credits such as an apartment rental, car loan, utilities, and more. Your school may withhold your academic transcript if you default on your loan. You can lose eligibility for all federal financial aid programs, and you may endure painful collections activities, including court orders for your employer to take part of your wages to pay for your debt. Borrowing only what you need and consistently revisiting your total debt and your repayment strategies is key to helping student loans work for you and not against you.